All right, my name is Charles Firecat Burnell, and I recently wrote a letter to our new vice president, and I wanted to record it and share it with y'all. January 21st, 2021. Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, I am writing to you with the hope that you will have the time to read and consider my words. I know that is a big ask, as you have a great deal of work in front of you, and yet I have hope that you will be taking time to do things as important as actually read letters of substance that cross your desk. I wrote my first letter to President Biden yesterday, and I hope to make a habit of writing to you both with some regularity over the next 4 years. As with New Year's resolutions, these intentions don't always come to fruition, but I shall do my best. I have to say that I am pleased to see the White House webpage has already been restored, some creating space for input from people across the nation who want their ideas and thoughts considered. I am an artist, a writer, and a long-winded lover of letters, and therefore do not fit well into website boxes. Still, I'm very thankful that you and President Biden are now in office. The last 5 years has been miserable. For the sake of not being redundant, instead of saying to you all the things I said to President Biden, I will instead hope that the two of you are amused that I took the time to write you both separately, and will exchange letters so that both of you can read both. I had considered simply sending you a copy of his and vice versa, but decided against wasting the paper. Instead, I will be publishing both letters on my website and sending links to them via Twitter, just in case the letters never make it to you in person. I would like to introduce myself because I feel like the more you know your constituents, the better you can represent us. You are my senior by only 10 years, and though our childhood experiences were likely very different, you represent my generation more closely than President Biden does. I also grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. I know that my childhood traumas and challenges were different than yours, that being a member of the LGBTQ community does not equate to the experiences of growing up as a person of color. However, the traumas and challenges that I did experience helped me to grasp the importance of equality, community, love and compassion, mutual respect, and dignity for all. I fully embrace the ideology of a nation of compassion, liberty, and equality for all. This is what makes me the peaceful patriot that I am. Like so many others, I have mourned the injustices in this country and in the ways I knew best, fought to make my community a better place. I will honestly tell you that I did not support you in the primaries. It is the same reason that I did not support Biden in the primaries. It is because I truly believe in my right to be fairly and accurately represented. Both of you seem too moderate to be willing to take the robust, progressive actions needed to really make long-term positive changes in this country. I explain my reasoning in greater detail in my letter to the president. Again, I truly hope y'all swap letters. That is not to say that I do not support you now. In fact, I am quite pleased that the two of you have an opportunity to help heal this nation when we have been so recently and so dramatically devastated. I was hesitant about you at first because I follow and support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I saw people showing concern about your history as a prosecutor. Given the number of police-initiated deaths of people of color that have actually been getting news attention since Michael Brown in Ferguson, I believe that we are in a different climate than we were back then. I acknowledge that people have the opportunity to grow and develop into better people with more time and experience. I am hopeful that given the need for the dismantling of systemic racism, that you will be listening to a wide range of voices. The many perspectives that our nation's citizens have to offer will help you and your administration develop a path of healing, of moving forward, that will touch all of the nation. We need that kind of holistic healing. In order to accomplish such systemic reform, we need to address the many tributaries that feed this system. One such tributary is education. It is vitally important that our national curriculum be overhauled to be more accurately reflective of how this nation was truly built. Though it is shameful, we can teach our children, the next generation, to learn from the mistakes and become a more compassionate society as a whole. I understand the sacrifices and contributions of women and people of color are not adequately included or portrayed in standard K-12 curriculum, nor are the stories of our indigenous peoples adequately conveyed in standard K-12 curriculum. Instead, as you know, our children are presented with a whitewashed version that promotes the ideologies that the nation was in fact rooted in. This leads me to the subject of our economic system. Systemic racism and classism are also rooted in the form of capitalism that this country was founded with. It was a form of extreme capitalism carried on the backs of the subjugated for the financial benefit of the wealthy few. I also understand that the ideals we aspire to as a nation appeal for equality and an American dream that is partly fabricated and partly aimed at the middle class as the happy medium that everyone supposedly aims for. This portion is actually more reflective of the ideology that our founders advertised with the propaganda that they used to convince colonists to agree to come to the continent in the first place. There is a direct contradiction within this paradigm. For to have a middle class, there must be an upper and lower class. As long as classism is the system that we are trying to repair, we are leaving space for racism to continue to fester and lurk in the shadows. I truly believe that equality for all can coexist within a society that functions with a somewhat capitalist economy, but it's going to take a lot of open minds and some serious tweaking of tax codes. Think outside the box. Look at what San Francisco is doing. What if the percent at which a business was taxed was calculated based on how their top employees' earnings compared to their bottom employees' earnings? If the lowest employee is making minimum wage, but the CEO is taking home $1 million+ bonuses, they should be taxed at a higher rate than a business of the same size who ensures the success of the company is felt equitably by all the employees. Redistribution of wealth is not people being greedy. Those big companies would not be successful without each and every employee doing their part. Our country was founded with the goal of ensuring success for the few through exploitation of many. The concept of equitable redistribution of wealth can begin to address this issue. But again, there are many tributaries that feed this bay, and the sun is rising over the water. I hope that you greet this day with your eyes and mind open to a wide variety of perspectives. Another tributary that I wish to present to you directly addresses our justice system, specifically the way in which we penalize, punish, and try to correct those who have made errors and broken the law. I firmly disagree with the death penalty. I firmly disagree with police presence in schools. I do not believe that our justice system should in any way, shape, or form be allowed to function for profit. That should include all in this field. Not just the prisons, not just the courts. Fees should only be imposed as necessary to offset the cost of operation. Attorneys' firms should be forced to adhere to the standards and expectations of a nonprofit organization. I believe the medical industry should be handled in a similar manner, but I'm not going there right now. If organizations were making a profit from participating in the justice system, then I see this as a moral dilemma that needs to be addressed. Furthermore, the police are expected to uphold the laws that feed our jails and prisons, work on a quota system. They function with goals of filling their quotas, and those quotas equate to human bodies. This environment makes each person a potential criminal, much like walking through the door of This environment makes each person a potential criminal, much like walking through the door of a department store makes you a potential customer to the clerk waiting behind the counter. But we are citizens, not criminals. As you know, we are innocent until proven guilty. However, the history of police violence against persons before convictions is unfathomable. If we are going to work for justice for all, then we need to seriously discuss what that is supposed to look like. How is that going to function? Please ponder and consider the concept of restorative justice. Right now, rehabilitation and mental health support seem to be the end of the line, with punishment at the beginning of the line. When we consider the fact that most people who commit crimes do so because they truly believe that is their only option, and because they are damaged or under some kind of duress, that does not justify their actions, nor does it negate the damages their actions cause the people in the community around them. However, the woman Lisa, who was just put to death, provides a great example. She clearly was so incredibly damaged as a child who suffered repeated abuse that it impacted her ability to function in the world peaceably. Instead, the damage caused to her was caused for her to continue the pattern of abuse through her own atrocious actions. My heart goes out to the little girl who Lisa once was. How can we, as a nation, within our justice system, keep these patterns of abuse and trauma from being repeated? Simply locking people up doesn't fix them. It doesn't create a space for healing. Restorative justice does create a space for healing. It makes room for people to grow, change, and improve. How would our justice system look if instead of the first step being jail or prison, if the first step was a rehabilitation program, and the last steps of a sentence were spent in jail or prison? How would our policing system look if a health or welfare officer was the first responder taking the lead in a situation with an armed officer for backup only? What would our schools look like if the only time the students met the officers on campus was when they came to the school to do an assembly presentation about safety in the community? We can do this. We can change things for the better. Please try to be brave enough to take the robust, progressive actions that are necessary to really make this nation one that we can be proud of. I will try to write you again. Thank you for being the brave and complex human being that you are. You are a blessing to our nation. Most respectfully.